Hi, this is Wild Phil Jarrett coming at you from the unhappiest state in the U.S. of A., West by God, Virginia. I'm going to be reading along in what I'd like to call Poet's Corner, or the Poetry Corner. Not corner, Corner, the Poetry Corner, where I kill some perfectly good poems and try to revive them just by bravado and the spunk that's just inside of me. And these poems are all about me. Who the hell else am I going to rap? This one is well growing up in Chesapeake, West Virginia, on the Canal River back in the 50s. It's called The Toys You Never Won. There was Chesapeake, and I learned to spell the name on the yellow paper, and I put my name in Chesapeake in West Virginia, and I wrote them down, and that was the name, and I was there and living in it and being in it before I knew what it was called by people who were not in it. And the noise, before I knew what it was called by people who were not in it, and the noise. I lived above Levin's Discount in 3 rooms with my brother and my mother and my father, and he was the one. There was yelling all the time, and the yelling seemed as natural as the curfew sign at 10 o'clock each night from the fire department out back where I was once a junior patrolman, and I heard of kids getting to go down to Charleston to see the jail, but I never went because I quit. And the noise, the river, the canal, and the long cold barges with the big stern wheel and the low moaning they called each other with, and I heard and I heard the big stern wheel and the low moaning, and there were dead fish in the river, and I saw them dead, and I covered a live one with lighter fluid, and I burned him in the mud puddle, and there was the basketball court of the grade school I attended, and hot summer nights and lights, people playing horse or dancing. I couldn't sleep and lay in the hot dark between the sheets and heard the coal trucks on the road going from the mines to the plants to the barges on the river, and I knew the white light flashes even then like the cold glow of a street light, and my burning body turning white, and I was scared and not sure what I was scared of, and I heard the trains on the track behind the white firehouse, and I repair shops for the low mining cars that go into the ground with men and bring back black coal, and men with black buried deep in their skins, and fingernails that were never clean and white like mine when I was still wrinkled from the tub, but were black like the coal in the trains, and above them the turnpike with the long cars going by and making sounds I could not hear over the rumbling of the coal that was around me on all sides and moving and shifting and killing, and the people in the cars going through high above me, and not in it like I was, calling it names that they had made up, and they weren't my names. They weren't Chesapeake or West Virginia or Philip or anything, and I did not know if I could see it because it was too close, and you had to be up high and blurring up on the turnpike to see it, and I was down low, so I played and thought the mining cars with low V-shaped bottoms were toys, and I played on them. And I played and pretended they were cars, and long and blurred with speed and free and not flat and low and ugly and broken and not toys at all. And I played beneath the steps that led up to where I lived and where my parents yelled, and I could hear them and know that she cried and that he was not a man, and yet I didn't know, and yet it was something I would learn, and at night I was afraid and didn't know why. I lay, waited, and listened to the coal moving in the earth and in the air and in the water and in my eyes, and I played hard during the day with the sun hot, and played hard beneath the rotting wooden stairs, and played hard with the kid from the house behind the store in the White House, and the girl who tried to kiss me, and I put my broken arm in front of my face and ran and the door that led into the black, dark room at the back of the store, and you looked into the room and through the dirty glass saw old bicycle pumps and boxes in darkness, and I played with Ginger, who was young and chained beneath the rotting stairs, and would tangle her chain around my legs and drag me down and lick my face and breathe hot, heavy dog breath into my face, and it was wet and warm and ugly like the girl from Back Doors who used to try and kiss me, and I played, and one day found it lying there, or he brought it with me, and I don't remember who he was, only that he was a kid and I was a kid, and it made it all right, but I do remember it, and I will always remember it, and it was a steel metal tape measure that spun out stiff and shining and had inches and feet, and I played with it, and I played, and it was late and evening and getting dark, and they called, and I didn't want to come, so I played, and he came and was fat and laughing and being a daddy and picking me up and throwing me over his shoulder, and I didn't want to go, and the other kid was staying, and why couldn't I? And he was carrying me, and I had the tape, and the other kid had the box end of the tape, and I grabbed and fought him for it, and he was laughing, and he was laughing too, and carrying me back to their endless yelling out. I didn't want to go, and the other kid was staying and pulling me back with the shiny metal tape, and I grabbed the tape, and he pulled, and Daddy pulled, and it hurt, and the tape cut and jerked, and the tape sliced through the palms of my hands, and it hurt, and I dropped the tape, and it still hurt, and it wouldn't stop, and he was laughing, and I was ashamed because it hurt and didn't bleed, but it hurt, and it hurt, and I was ashamed because it hurt and didn't bleed, but it hurt, laughing, and I was ashamed of myself, like when I wet my pants that time in the grocery store and ran back and hid them under the bed, and I would have made it, but I was at the grocery store and filling out a coupon for a basket of food to be given away, and I needed to go, but I had to fill the coupon out. Then it happened, and I ran and ran and ran and ran and ran, and I won the food later on, but there wasn't the toys I wanted, and they had them up on the shelf, and you couldn't reach, and I thought I could take them if I won them, but you only got the food, and I was ashamed of my cut hands. I was ashamed because I wanted toys when we needed food, and I was ashamed, and all the while the coal moved around the back and front, and both sides, in the barges on the river and the trucks on the road, and the trains on the tracks, and in the load cars and the mining repair shop that became the toys you never won.